Okay, so the reason I'm starting this voice memo is I'm currently high. I'm walking back from seeing The Wild Robot in AMC Kingsborough. And and I'm in a mood where I want to just talk. And I have this mode of, I have this note in my iPhone, my notes app that I just use to keep track of kind of various high thoughts I have. Because in the moment they feel very profound and awesome. And I don't know, they still ring true when I wake up the next day, so must be doing something right. It's a good idea to keep track of them. Anyways, so what I was thinking about, I'm gonna give my thoughts on the movie. I'm gonna do like a review. Maybe I'll post this on Letterboxd, right? Just like a SoundCloud link. So I'm gonna do a high review of the movie Wild Robot. But before I do that, I have a real quick tangent I want to address that was just going through my mind, and I just want to get it out there. So here's the rub. So I'm just basically, after I finished the movie, the edible had kicked in. I wasn't super high, but I could feel it starting to take effect. And so there was a bit of a moral quandary for me. I had a bit of a pickle where, I was deciding whether or not to drive back. Now, keep in mind, before I even left for the theater on this spontaneous whim, where I just bought a ticket like 2 minutes after the movie started, just on a whim, before I had this whole thing, before I even set out, I'm saying, I had planned to walk back. Okay, I wouldn't be so, I think you should, at least that's a moral obligation. You have to, if you're going to get fucked up, you're going to get high, drunk, whatever, you should plan your way back ahead of time. You shouldn't just leave it to chance. That's so irresponsible. It's, detrimental to other people as well as yourself. So that's a moral obligation. I fulfilled that. I did that. I was like, okay, the AMC, it's a 10-minute drive, but it's a 40-minute walk. Not terrible, right? It's a little bit outside of the kind of acceptable short walk range, where it's just, I would have just, like, if it was like 20 minutes, I wouldn't even have driven there in the first place. I would have just walked. It was a little too far. For it to be walking distance. 40 minutes is a little too steep, but it's like a one-time thing. And I realized, and if I can just drive there sober, take the edible as I'm in the parking lot pulling up, then, which was, by the way, too late. I should have taken it way earlier. Edibles take a lot longer to hit, and I always underestimate how long they take to hit. So, yeah, but they fucking hit. They usually hit pretty hard. This is 10 milligrams, so I don't know. For me, that's standard. Like, I can't do 5. Anyways, I'm getting so sidetracked here. I was like, I prepared my way back. I drove there, and towards the end of the movie, I got high. Only a little bit, though. Again, it's only starting to ramp up. I haven't really gotten full-blown highness yet. But, so, starting to hit. When the movie was over, I was coming out. I was, hitting a little bit more. And I was sitting in the car. I just came back to sit in the car because it was a little cold out. I was thinking to myself, like, oh, fuck, like, what do I do? Like, do I drive? Or, actually, no, it wasn't like a huge debate. I was like, okay, time to walk back. But, like, in the back of my mind, it wasn't like 50-50 split. It was like 80-20. Like, 80% of me was like, no, we're walking back. Obviously, I prepared. It's like, of course I'm going to walk back. But in the back of my mind, that 20%, it's like, well, you don't feel that high, You don't feel like when you're drunk, like you've lost motor control, like you're unaware of your surroundings. You don't feel like that. You still could probably manage. It's not that far. It's 10 minutes, actually 8 minutes away. I was like trying to convince myself. I said, I usually round up when I estimate time, 10 minutes, but that moment in the back of my head, I'm like, it's only 8 minutes away. Instead of 10 minutes, rounding up. Jesus Christ, I'm on a fucking tangent. Anyways, what was I saying? Oh yeah, so I was like telling myself, like, oh yeah, like you can, 20% of my head is like, you don't have to, it's easy. You can do it. You can make it. That's totally manageable. And again, it's so late out, like it's midnight. There's hardly anybody out. Like you can make it. So, I do what any modern Zoomer does. I fucking open up Google and I'm like, I ask a question, put Reddit at the end and just seek sage advice, even if it's just like a fucking emotional question. So, yeah, I said like, can you drive while high? And so the thing is, and also in the back of my head, like I had heard other people, their experiences about driving while high, or their opinions on it. And they were all like, yeah, it's not that bad. Like it's pretty okay. Like it's definitely not as bad as drinking, whatever. So I had a little bit of doubt in me. And, I was scrolling through Reddit, and honestly, I think it's because I was scrolling on a wheat subreddit, but everyone was like, yeah, like, it's not a big deal, like, you can token drive, it's chill. But I saw this one, but there was a couple that stood out. A couple posts were like, dude, like, why even take the risk? Like, what the fuck? Like, even if you don't believe it, like, even if you don't believe it's going to be a problem, like, why fucking take that risk? It's not just yourself you're risking, it's other people, I was like, yeah, like, and then I saw this, it's like, you're kind of an awful person if you just, like, choose to drive under the influence regardless. And I was like, yeah, that's kind of fucking true. Like, you're just, like, willing to risk other people's lives for because, like, your convenience. And in this case especially, like, it's not like it was a last resort. It's like 40-minute walk, again, is not like the end of the fucking world. That's pretty manageable. Say that while I'm, like, winded, but it's because I'm talking. Anyways, so it's like, why even take that fucking risk? Like, don't be a douchebag. So, I just figured, okay, the second thing that was kind of weighing on my mind was, dude, if I post this to Letterboxd, hold on, we pause for a second. If I post this to Letterboxd, people are like, if I post a SoundCloud link to this review, people are going to be like, okay, let's see what he has to say. And I'm just fucking rambling for like 6 minutes. Okay, let's wrap this up quick. I'm like in a tangent within a tangent right now. Because there's another thing I wanted to get to that has gone way fucking past me. Anyways, let me wrap this up. So I was like, okay, like, I'm not going to drive back. But then another thing going on in my mind was like, fuck, like, will my car get towed if I leave it in this AMC overnight? Like, is that going to fuck me up? Because I have to go to Boston tomorrow, like, see Andrew and Teddy. Like, am I going to be able to do that shit if my fucking car is towed? So I thought about that. That was another thing I was weighing now. And I went to Reddit. AMC parking lot, how long can you leave your car? Dude, fuck it, man. It's like less than 24 hours. Like, it's probably less than 12, honestly. And so it's like, I think it'll be fine. Like, fuck it. I moved it into like a corner area of the parking lot, like kind of behind some trees. Maybe that makes it more sus, but I just figured, don't just fucking leave it out in the middle of nowhere or just in the open. So that's where we are now. I think I made a good decision. And it's not even like, I made a good decision not to walk home instead of drive. It's not like a fucking walk. Again, the 40-minute walk, it's not even a punishment. And this brings me into what the other thing I wanted to say before I get to the Wild Robot review. This 40-minute walk is not really a big punishment. In fact, I like it. I'm enjoying this right now. First of all, I get to do this recording thing, and it's going to be longer because it's 40 minutes to 10. I'm not focused on driving, so it'll be better. Secondly, this is what I thought I was having, but maybe I actually decided to pull out this phone and record, is the thought I've been having is like, damn, like, man, I really appreciate a good walking commute. Like, I appreciate a good walk kind of at night when you're under the influence. Like, this is a really awesome thing. And I haven't been walking a lot recently because when I was in college, I would walk to get anywhere, basically. But now, I'm fucking car-pilled, gas-cucked, fucking anti-transit loser because it's Nashua. But, there are people who in my job are making it work, so I can't really just blame it on Nashua. It's also kind of me being lazy. But, yeah, I've just been driving everywhere. And, sometimes I walk to get groceries, but it's just not that long of a walk to really let you kind of ruminate and think. It's not very interesting either. You're just, like, walking behind what's it called? A fucking supermarket complex between that and, like, fences, and it's, like, completely walled in. It's, like, not a very stimulating walk until, like, it's not like I'm getting fucking turned on by the walk, but, like, just doesn't stimulate your mind to, like, kind of think about things and whatever and kind of wander. Okay, so yeah, I'm not really getting a good amount of walking in my life anymore, and I'm realizing I didn't really realize how big of an effect that would have on me, just because, yeah, like, this is a great time to just kind of, let the mind wander, let the mind relax, kind of, you're not really focused on anything. Like, walking is, and this is the other thing I was saying, walking is like fucking blood memory, dude. I get why walking feels so good, man, for fucking millions of years, hundreds of thousands of years. I don't know how long Homo sapiens have been around. I feel like I should know that, but whatever. For so many years, we've just been walking from place to place, like migrations and shit over the Bering Land Bridge and shit. This is fucking ingrained into us. No wonder it would feel so good for us, dude, to just fucking walk to places. Whew, that's some fucking blood memory shit. But yeah, so I get more of this, I feel like I need to do this more. And fuck, I should be walking to work, dude. The only thing is, like, a 30-minute walk's not bad, but it just, because I can get there so quickly by car, I just never wake up in time. Like, I'll fucking wake up at, like, 8:50. I woke up at 9, right? It's like, I can't do that shit, and then it takes me a while to get ready. So, like, I can't do that shit if I want to walk. I have to carve that time out, be more disciplined. So, yeah. So we're at 10 minutes. I haven't started the fucking review. You know what? Here we go. Wild Robot review. Guys, this movie was fucking amazing. 4.5, okay? At the beginning of the movie, I was like, okay, this is kind of cool. Middle, I'm like, this is really good, but, like, it's still kind of a sappy kids movie. A little bit too cheesy for me. Can't really give it maybe I'd give it a 3.5, but I'll give it a 4, right? Then towards the end, like, I was like, damn, like, I mean, it's still kind of a kid's movie, don't get me wrong, but there's a lot of stuff happening behind the scenes. Like, there's a lot of great symbolism and just, like, even world building and stuff that's just like, fuck, okay. They, like, put extra thought into this. This is amazing. So 4.5. I don't think I can give it a 5 just because, again, it's like, a kid's movie, which is not meant to be derogatory, but it's just, I'm not a kid, so it's going to be less resonant with me. But, yeah. Okay, so let's talk a bit more about the movie in concrete details, okay? I'm going to give a fucking full spoiler alert at this point, okay? If you fucking want a no spoiler interview or review. I'm going to fucking... Ooh, almost tripped on a pothole there. Anyways, what was I saying? I'm going to fucking go all in. I'm going to just talk about everything in some scattered order that my high brain has concocted, so just blanket warning now. All right, so the Wild Robot. Let's get into it. Obviously, a lot of similarities to WALL-E, and just general, like, kind of Pixar-ish robot movies where it's like a robot finding humanity and kind of that thing. And so obviously that strikes you on the head immediately. Even, that's just like, you kind of just from the promotional material, like WALL-E, you just think WALL-E. All right, so that's kind of the first thing. There's a lot of awesome symbolism in this, though. Like, I thought one thing that was really, really interesting was, like, I was thinking about this movie as kind of like it's like, has so many similarities to, like, having immigrant parents and being raised by immigrant parents, right? Like, this robot, Roz, is from this faraway land that's different from this world, different culture, different way of being. But she's trying to raise a goose who is from this island, who's grown up in this island with this new set of rules that Roz is not familiar with. And Roz in the middle, has a little bit of struggle with that, like a little bit of a identity crisis because like I said, on one hand, the goose is, from the island, but on the other hand, this mom, this very formative figure in his life is the robot. So from some weird future society, more on that later. But yeah, so it's like, that's like totally the immigrant kid experience. You have like this, your parents are trying to raise you in a culture that they themselves are not fully familiar with. It's like a crazy struggle. It's like your identity is just totally, you really got to figure that out. It's really potent that way. So yeah, that was a cool kind of perspective or kind of relatability aspect that I was able to glean from it. The other thing is, like, yeah, I mean, it's just a great movie about parenthood, I mean, I'm a fucking parent, but, like, it's so cool that this robot, it's like this robot is like, she becomes a mother, and it's done in such an interesting way that it doesn't, like, it is a pro-motherhood movie because it's like, showing the beauty of raising kids and how awesome that can be, but it's not pro-motherhood in what I would consider like an overly patriarchal way, where it's like the woman's duty, or like overly propagandistic way. I'm sure there's obviously patriarchy in it, but yeah, it's not done in an overly propagandistic way where it's like motherhood is so amazing and it's like it's just like full of sunshine and happiness and it's just like amazing. It's just like a fun, downside free endeavor for a woman or whatever, the propaganda shit. Because it's not like that. It actually acknowledges, like, hey, like, this shit, like, sucks. Like, being a mom can be fucking hard as shit and not fucking fun, right? Not perfect at all. This is done really well by through like the characters and through the plot by the fact that the robot at the beginning, or Roz, is just like super like hyper logical and like emotionless, right? So at the beginning when she gets the Gosling, the little goose she has to raise, she's looking at it straight through a logical perspective, like, this is such a pain, like, this is fucking gonna ruin my life, this is fucking me up, like, this kid shit is like such a fucking weight on me, it's like I have to do all this shit. Like, it's in that scene where she meets the possum mother. She's like, yeah, like, why would I do this? Like, this is fucking ruining me. And the possum mother's like, yeah, no, trust me. She has her fucking 6 kids there. She's like, yeah, this shit is not fucking easy. This shit is, she's like, yeah, mostly, she's like, it's not that bad when you're not, fucking annoyed. And then the baby throws up on her and the possum mom's like, but that's most of the time. Like, you're going to get fucking tons of shit. So they're very honest about that. But then the mom is also like, but she's not resentful of motherhood. I think she likes being a mother. She's like, yeah, like, but we do it anyway. We love our kids, but she's realistic, she's not like fucking brainwashed. Not trying to brainwash, women in the audience. Little girls, this is a kid's movie, young kids. They're not trying to brainwash them. They're acknowledging. And I'm sure the parents, and that's also for the parents too, who brought their kids here to watch this movie. Like, yeah, like, we get it. We see you guys, like, this shit is not easy. This shit fucking blows. But it doesn't end on that note, right? It says even in spite of that, as Roz progresses, she grows to love it. Like, she's like, oh my God, this is amazing. Like, she learns to love the Gosling. And that's like a beautiful thing. And that becomes her task, and it allows her to kind of access her humanity, if that makes sense. Lets her, be more emotive and kind of have a loving and just experience love. Yeah, she overwrites her programming, as they say in the movie. So that's awesome, that journey, that depiction of parenthood without being like super, propagandistic. Again, I'm using that word over and over again. So yeah, that was a cool kind of perspective on parenthood. It showed all the joys and all the the real actual joys of being a parent and all the fucked up, downsides. It's very honest in that way, I feel like. So that was cool. That was a cool depiction of parenthood that doesn't fall into the old tropes of like kind of pre-Gen Z of like, just have kids, bro. Like, there's no, having kids is your only purpose. Like, everybody just has kids without thinking. It's like, no, it's like, this is gonna suck. It's gonna fucking suck, but it was good. But it'll be worth it. You'll love it. So that was cool. I'm not gonna have kids still, though. That shit did not fucking work on me, because I'm not, that's just not me. So, yeah. Anyways. So, it was also cool that it was about motherhood, That was cool. I think the robot being a woman, or I guess, female coded, because it's not really genderless, but, that's how it presents with that gender, I guess, That's cool. At first, they use, and they refer to her with, she pronouns. That's a she, right? It's a woman robot. That's cool. I feel like a lot of times robots get, this is complete bullshit. I was gonna say I feel like a lot of times robots are men, or like masculine coded, but is that even true? I feel like I'm just making that shit up. I can't even think of examples. Like, I guess the Transformers, there's some girl Transformers, but they're mainly men. Fucking Wall-E, but then you have Eva. So I don't know. I feel like a lot of times robots are men. That might just be because a lot of times characters are men, and there's a male bias in general, not just robots. But so that was cool to see. That she was a woman robot, and it's about motherhood. And that's the thing. I feel like more than anything, like more than even just generic kind of parenthood regardless of gender, I feel like motherhood is super propagandized, like to be like this beautiful thing, and like you have to love it, you have to love it all the time. And if it's like there's like a stigma against not loving it, being a mother that's not completely devoted, I feel like women and girls get that fucking brainwashing way more than just dudes do, right? About fatherhood, motherhood especially is propagandized. Holy shit. Okay. The other thing that I thought was interesting was the world building, okay? I know you're like, what the fuck? What world building? It takes place on an island. Sure, but I'm talking more about the world building. I mean, even that's interesting. But I'm also talking about like this, we get glimpses of, where does Roz the robot come from, and, what's society like outside of that. It's clear that this takes place, in my mind, this setting is a future Earth where the effects of climate change have basically completely changed society. It's like a post-climate disaster world, post-apocalypse. We get a lot of hints at this when in the scene where the goose Brightbill, he's Roz's child. The scene where he's migrating with his flock. We see this Golden Gate Bridge in San Francisco, but the actual bridge, not the supports, the road part of the bridge is submerged underwater, right? We see that other cities submerged underwater, and the fact that there's, and surrounded by nature. So that, I feel like, to me is, it's rising sea levels. It's like inserting a message of like, it's imagining, it's submitting a vision of post-apocalypse that comes from climate change and global warming. So that was very interesting. Like, that was a choice detail to include that actual thing in the story. A kid might not pick up on it, or maybe they will subconsciously, but, that's a real political thing to say, like, hey, like, yeah, this is this is climate change. This is what our future is going to look like. And also the fact that it's, it seems like it's still, a capitalist society, the universal dynamics thing. It seems like it's a company, right? It's not like a government that issues these robots. So it seems also to me like, and the world, so I almost imagine the world that Roz is from, like those kind of artificial or like cities that are built on top of the water, the new sea level. I almost imagine them as like corporate colonies, like control, because all of the shit is managed, all this infrastructure in these robots are managed by a company. And even in that promotional video that Roz ends up seeing, it's like a company ad, right? So it's like a fucking capitalist, fucking climate post-apocalypse. It's like a crazy amount of world building to add into a fucking, a kid's robot movie, right? It's fucking awesome. So cool. Just like so awesome. It adds so much depth and richness. And, it's something I can grab onto, if not for the kids, adults can grab onto it and, fucking be like, holy shit, this is awesome. What a cool political what a rich world you've built here. You really put thought into this. So that was cool. And yeah, I think it lends authenticity to the world itself. It makes it feel super real. That might be, I kind of feel like that's kind of a cop-out answer though. Like, I'm not one of those people that believes in like, when you discuss politics in movies, like, there's the question, like, is this even, like, really affecting people if you have these, like, subvert political or kind of subtle political messages? Is that actually going to have a psychological effect on people, showing this kind of post-climate apocalypse, right? Is that even real? That's something I find so interesting about film studies is, like, they focus so much on, like, oh, the shot is framed to draw the eye here, and, oh, these colors, cause a certain symbol, and, like, stuff like that. Like, oh, look at how the camera affects the mood of the shot, right? It's like, okay, this is all cool. Like, I feel like they spend so much time analyzing that, but they don't even analyze, like, the basic premise of all film studies, which is, like, are these kind of subtle choices actually having a psychological impact on the viewer, right? And I mean, maybe just the existence of film as a medium kind of proves that point, like, existence of quality films, like, you can just show that, like, oh, if doing these kind of tricks, like moving the camera in a certain way and making the camera load, make a character seem super big and imposing, or making it high up to make them seem small and meek, that'll have an effect on how people perceive the characters. Like, maybe just the fact that films exist and create moods that they're intending to kind of is experimental proof that, like, yeah, artistic choices, even subtle ones that maybe an average viewer cannot, like, point out, or even maybe not consciously recognize, are still having some subconscious psychological effect. I guess just the existence of film proves that, but I feel like there probably is data on it. Like, I'd like to see a study. Fucking liberal ass. Oh, can I see a study on this? Yeah, I'd like to see some, like, I'm sure there's, like, science behind it. Like, how is this, like, this seems like such a critical thing to study to prove that, like, art critique and, like, art analysis in general is, like, valid, which obviously it is, but I just feel like having that concrete data would shut up a lot of the types who are like, bro, like the curtains are just blue, like it's not that deep, like stop reading into every like movie detail. Like people like that, you need to shut those fucking people up, dude. Like what the hell? Just because you aren't able to identify subtext and fucking, actual, messages in movies does not mean nobody else can. Fuck you, dude. Like artists, you think artists are just like doing shit at random? Like you think they have no agency? Like everything on that screen, someone had to intentionally choose to put that here, right? Someone had to choose the color of the fucking curtains. Like why would they you think they're just making random fucking choices because they feel like it? What do you don't understand, man. Like people are trying to create something. This is like an effort for them. Like they're not just fucking randomly doing shit. This is a creative endeavor. Get fucking for real, So anyways, oh my God. Guys, let's take a moment to appreciate that obscene tangent. By the way, it's been 25 minutes. I'm already here. Just crushed that 40 minute walk, right? So I'm just going to walk around a bit more because I want to finish these thoughts before I head in. Okay, so yeah. Let's see. What was I saying? Oh, yeah. So I got on a huge tangent while I was trying to review the fucking Wild Robot. Holy shit. And, yeah, so great movie. I talked about themes of, I talked about the world building and, the political themes there. I talked about, the parenthood element, how I thought that was treated nicely. So, okay, here's one more thing I could bring up is, I think it's very interesting, we get a very clear depiction of how much damage, not just, stress and, kind of annoyance, that Ross suffers being a parent. We actually get to see physical, bodily, corporeal damage, right? The robot loses its leg. It has to have a wooden leg put in. Roz, all these scratches and dirt and scrapes. It's like a physically brutal act being a parent, right? It's being a mother, okay? And I want to talk about just something that I haven't really fleshed out as a critical theory and haven't really read on anything about it yet. But I have this political tie to being a mom and physical disability, right? Somehow those things are very strongly linked. Under patriarchal society or whatever, women are literally treated like beasts of burden, right? They give birth, which is already a fucking insanely bodily traumatic thing, right? And they have to labor in the household. They have to do childcare. They're treated like beasts of burden. They're meant to just be relegated to the house and kind of do their thing and do their little chores like a livestock. So, and that's under a traditional patriarchal fucking worldview, right? And so I think that, mothers are treated like beasts of burden, more so than fathers. That's why I like this as a movie about motherhood and not just, generic parenthood. I feel like that makes it way more potent and adds on to that political depth that this movie had clearly been crafted with. Sorry, I'm going to turn the flashlight on here because it's getting kind of dark. I don't want to step on another pothole. Okay. So, as I was saying, I feel like because women are treated like beasts of burden, their body, it's being a mother is a physically torturous task. Not just stressful emotionally, not just harmful emotionally, mentally, but physically, it's a toiling effort. I feel like showing that is so important and interesting, because we can talk about stress and fucking psychological torture all fucking day, and don't get me wrong, we have to talk about that, but people don't really immediately resonate with that, just descriptions of someone's fucked up mental state. But if you show them a fucking physical injury or harm you sustained through this process of motherhood, that's immediately visceral. Just seeing disability, damage, physical harm. I shouldn't be using disability as a synonym with like being damaged, because you can be born disabled and shit. Like, just excuse me there for not being woke, but yeah, like it's just like to see the fact that it just shows you. I mean, obviously it's not like fucking a gruesome movie. It's still like a robot we're talking about here, not like flesh and blood. But yeah, so like the fact that it shows like physical harm and injury associated with motherhood, specifically, being a woman parent, that is like really potent to me, right? Like the first act of motherhood is like a brutal like self-torture, right? Pregnancy for a lot of women is fucking brutal as shit. I say this as an expert on women. Like, I'm just, from what I've heard and what I've witnessed, it just seems like it can be so brutal, especially like for all human history too, especially, before fucking epidural and shit. Like, god damn. And they're popping out like 20 kids, women in the day. What the fuck? That's brutal. That's like torture, right? So motherhood throughout history has been so strongly tied to self-harm, not self-harm, like torture. It's like physical brutalization. And so, yeah, like you just, the first act of birthing a child is torturous. And on top of that, like, and I'm not saying this because I'm a fucking anti-child, anti-birther, anti-natalist. Like, but I'm, again, I'm trying to be like the movie. I'm trying to be honest about what parenthood is, what motherhood is. First fucking act is torturous for motherhood. And in general, being a mother is just doing hard labor. It's like labor. Because people just think of childhood or child rearing and like housework as just like this fluffy, like kind of task, because women are designated to it. It's just like not like a real task or whatever. It's not like a fucking miner working in a mine, fucking mining coal, or like a fucking construction worker lifting heavy metal fucking I-beams. Like, you just think of it as like this light fluffy thing, but it's all fucking labor. Okay, let me fucking get Marxist on you for a second. It's all fucking labor. It's all back-breaking, hard, physically disabling fucking labor. And so let's not fucking hide that. This movie shows that shit, okay? Labor of love is still a labor, okay? Fucking body is getting broken down, dude. But again, in spite of that, it's not a fucking anti-motherhood movie. It's like still like, yeah, like she suffers scratches, her leg gets fucking cut off, and it's like you can see all this physical damage, but she's like, I'm fine. Like, I just love doing this shit. Like, she still loves being a mom. Like, she acknowledges that, yes, I'm not going to sugarcoat this. This is torturous. This is damaging. This is not fucking easy, but I still love it. That is a great message on parenthood. It's like not doomer to fucking end human civilization, because, you can't just be like, don't have kids, it's horrible, we'll fucking collapse. But it's also not fucking patriarchal brainwashing. You should love motherhood. You should enjoy being pregnant. You should fucking be smiling all the time. No. It's like a honest human. This shit fucking sucks for us, man. So, but it's still amazing. It's very beautiful that way. So, yeah, okay, just to recap what we've been talking about, because again, I'm a tangent master. I just talked about I first talked about the role of motherhood, kind of the political implications of the film, and then I had a little bit tangent on like media, like a meta kind of talk about like film studies in general, or like analyzing art. And then finally, I returned to kind of talking more about motherhood, but more talking about a very specific theme. I zoomed in on the motherhood depiction to show like how important it is to show physical labor and like physical damage as a result. Motherhood as torture, as physical labor, physical toil. That was awesome. And, reminded me of a lot of women in my life, my own mother, other mothers I've seen. It's tough. So yeah, overall a great film. Again, 4.5 stars. Wow. And I have this problem of like, when I'm high, I super overrate movies just because I conflate like the sensory experience of being high with the quality of the movie. And I feel like, in a way, my view of weed is like, this is a performance-enhancing drug for watching movies. It's steroids for movie watching. So I just feel like it makes every movie 10 times more enjoyable in my perception. So again, like, I wouldn't say take this with a grain of salt, because I wouldn't say take this review with a grain of salt, because I did only really get high, as I mentioned way earlier, towards the end of the movie, so I feel like I had a sober kind of perspective and political analysis of the majority of the movie. But I'd say for the last maybe third, maybe last fifth, I was starting to feel it. So instead of taking it with a grain of salt, just mathematically adjust your perception of this review. Maybe scale it down by whatever percent I spent high of the movie, like 20%. Reduce it by 20%. But a fifth is a lot, though. I don't want you to reduce it by fucking 0.9 stars. Actually, maybe, reduce it by like 15% or 20%. Reduce my review. You can multiply that by the star value, right? Fucking high tax. I should start doing that, actually. I should take these reviews more seriously and start applying mathematical modeling to them, have a high tax to tax, like I said, just reduce star review by X percent, where X is no, but I mean that's not a perfect model, because you don't want to reduce the review by 100% if you spent the whole thing high, right? There's some equation there, it's partially a function of how much of the movie you spent high, but there's a floor to it. It's not going to just gonna cut a review by 100 or even 80 or 70%, right? It's never going to do that. Maybe its floor is 50% of this high scaling function for movie reviews I'm thinking of. Highness scaling function, right? So anyways, another stupid tangent. Go watch The Wild Robot. It's just gas. Amazing movie. Great work, Chris Sanders, former director. Not a ton of movies, but high percentage of bangers of his filmography, right? How to Train Your Dragon and Lilo and Stitch. How to Train Your Dragon 1 and Lilo and Stitch, 2 bangers of films. Okay, so yeah, I think that's a pretty decent review. We're at almost, we're over 35 minutes. So if you've listened to this, please text me, because I have I'm going to post this online, and I'm not going to give out my phone number to, if some random stumbles upon the letterbox. But if I know you, text me and let's talk about this shit. I want to, if you listen to the end of this, I want to talk, seriously, anytime. Just fucking text me if you get here. This is a fucking secret, free text run at any time code at the end you can redeem for all these true listeners. That's really narcissistic of me to fucking put out a code like that, but what I mean to say is I want to talk to you if you listen to this, not because I want to preach at you, but just because I think that would really enrich whatever relationship I have with you. If I knew that you talked to the end, if you reached the end of this, that would make me feel really awesome, and probably make me like you a lot more. Not that I dislike you, but it would really strengthen our bond, is what I'm saying. So yeah, if you made it to the end of this, text me. The secret code is the secret code you have to redeem is motherhood is torture. Text me motherhood is torture to my phone number. You should have it if I want you to text me. Although I don't want strangers, so text motherhood is torture to my phone. Text it anytime, any day, and I will. That'll fucking be awesome if that happens. I'm not expecting it though, but it'd be really beautiful for me. Be me really happy. Okay, that's all I have to say. I'm standing outside my door right now, probably bothering my neighbor by talking. Hopefully not talking too loud, but standing outside of the apartment building. So yeah, Wild Robot, go see it. Amazing. Love you guys. Bye.